Can you see now? Right. Let's start with, before even jumping into the case study, we will first start with to prepare for this case study. Okay, because the key part in passing the exam is using the structure. How to approach the case study, knowing the structure, and then applying it. Right? Because you will get 3 questions, and you will get basically 60 minutes or so to answer the question. And if you don't, let's this particular question in 4 minutes, right? So you have 10 minutes left, and you go to your next question. Okay, well, I've got 60 plus another 20 for the second question, which is 80 marks. Well, you will not be able to use 80 minutes because the second question is also for 60 marks, 6 marks and 60 minutes, right? Therefore, if you come into 60 minutes, it will fully move you to the third question. So, in summary, you have to utilize, you can only utilize the time allocated to a particular question. You cannot go back or go forward. You have to stick to that one. Okay, so be very careful. Don't go forward till you completely finish your first question. Right? And whatever time you've saved in the first question, you cannot utilize in the second question. So that is a key mindset change that you need to develop, because in the previous exams, handwritten, when you write things, have a booklet and write, you are in a position to go back and forth to questions, right? In this case, no, you're not able to do that at all. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Right. There are key components that you need to remember. There are 4 areas that CIMA, 5 actually areas that CIMA tests you on, right? And even students who have achieved pass mark the exam, if they're not good in a business skill, people skill, leadership skill. Now, in a question, you don't need to apply all 4 skills, right? But it may not be appropriate to use all 4 skills. Okay. However, you may need to go, when you're looking at structuring the answer, this is where the structure plays a significant role. You need to see, well, what is the technical skill that I'm applying? What's the business skill, people skill, leadership skill? What am I going to, what are the skills that I can put in here, right? To make to complete my answer. So, for example, let us talk about one question where they will ask about well, they're going into this particular company is intending on investing on a project. NPV is, let's say, 20%. It will give you more information about this particular project. And ask, please advise the board views and recommendations. When they give you something like this, us accountants, and being very technical, we immediately latch on to those numbers, right? What we'll do is jump into that 20% NPV quickly. What are the the financials of the company and the competitors and talk only about that. We have forgotten everything about the environment, we've forgotten everything about people, all those things we have forgotten about. We're only latching on to those numbers. Okay. Now, if you gave an answer saying, well, the company, the country's, the bank rate return is, let's say, 15%, right? Let's have this project. We're investing in an Asian country, right, where there's high inflation, or hence you've got the return being high. So you will say, well, the 20% is anyway above, and we've achieved it in net present value. The discounting 20%, the PV is positive. So, and also looking at the numbers, it looks good. We talk about only the numbers. Now, we have not written about what the impact this particular project is going to have on the people. It's automation of a particular activity, which was manually. Right. The study is on manufacturing as well. Right. It might be a thing of going into full automation, or it might be shutting down certain stores and moving completely into online. We're shutting certain stores down, and there is an impact of people there. How would you if we don't talk about that, you will fail the exam. Right? Talk about the business skills. Right? Well, what are competitors doing? What is that particular environment? What is environmental factors there? If we are going into an automation project, do we have the necessary skill set in-house, or do we need to outsource this activity? Right? Because let's say I'm automating something, but the skill set is not within the company, or say I'm in Asia or in Africa, where I'm going to start a manufacturing plant, and this kind of high skilled labor is not available. Right? These kind of things need to be brought in to the answer. Right? But technically is not going to take you anywhere. Right? You've achieved 100% technically, but really you would have not achieved anything in any of these other quadrants. And of course, every time you need to have this ethics underlying. Right? It's a key component. You'll always need to think of the ethical angle as well. They may not ask you a direct question, but you need to think about it and talk about it where it is appropriate. Right? What is saying? SEMA develops your professional skills across 4 business and finance competencies, relevant and future trends. If you see, they are saying for business and finance, not finance and business. Okay, there again, the emphasis is on you being a business person first. Okay, you're a business partner. Right? Now, you talk about core accounting and financial skills. Right? Financial accounting, reporting, cost accounting, management, plan and control, management, reporting, analysis, corporate finance and trade management, risk management, internal controls, taxation, accounting information systems. These are very much in the heart of an accountant's profile. Right? They're actually more than their heart, if I may say, right? So this is the reason why SEMA is now, the whole exam structure and forcing the accountants to be more business than just looking at accounting skills, right? Now, if I look at business acumen, you're looking at strategy, analysis of market and macroeconomic environments, business management, business relationships, right? Project management, a regulatory environment. Now, you can't give an answer to a question just looking at the numbers. Again, as I said, you need to look at what are the regulations say here. What would your government say here? What kind of stake would your government have here? Right? Certain things you are able to do, right? Like, technically, you're able to do, but is allowed by the government, by the there's rules and regulations. So that's another thing that you need to consider. People skills is important here. Ability to influence, negotiate, skills in decision making, collaborative working, and communication. That also needs to come in because you're a leader. At this level, you're a very, very senior leader, advising the board. Okay, that is the role that you have to assume. Okay, so if you can be whatever, it does not matter. Okay, with your exam, you have to assume the role of a very senior business finance manager advising the board. Right, this is the core. One of the other things that students fail to understand is, let's say they're not doing a very senior job. So they ask a question at work. In real life, they're not doing a very senior job. So they are, in their mind, they are used to that, and they automatically write answers accordingly. You will fail if you do that. Okay. The fourth skill they talk about is leadership skill, which is team building, coaching, mentoring, driving performance, change management, and ability to motivate and inspire. So in your answers, all of these things need to come through. Okay, it's clear.
Yes. Not so far.
Right. Now, emphasizing on our 4 competencies. Okay. If you look at the technical aspects, and you can see if it's we've been given the financial statements, right? We like profit and loss, balance sheets, cash flows, right? Any other financial statement, finance kind of information is provided, and we may also get if you're going in for a new project. Now we don't have any investment appraisal information here, but as your unseen material, when you go into the exam, you may get the unseen information, which is talking about the project, right? Then you may also have business valuations, right, and financial reporting. Now, business valuation deals with your F3, right? Focus on, well, the company is planning on buying, right, either horizontal or vertical integration, or getting into a joint venture partnership with another company in another country because they're into manufacturing. Okay, so they may think of, well, I want to retain the quality. I want to be able to influence my manufacturing partner significantly, right? In this case, they think of going into a joint venture, right? So valuation needs to be carried out as well. There might be situations the reverse may happen where someone has offered you, right, certain certain companies you have, and then you need to value and see, well, is it core part of our business? Is it high time that we moved it away from us, and maybe there are some other opportunities that will come, right? Maybe I will release the funds here and then invest in somewhere else, right? That be an opportunity as well. So you need to look at the business valuation from that, even from your company perspective, right? Then we talk about financial reporting and integrated reporting. Now I have seen a lot of information, a lot of things coming on about integrated reporting. We'll get into that later, right? We need to talk about the integrated reporting aspects. Now we also look at disclosure and financing. The disclosures, we need to have a very good view. I saw some notes to the accounts as well in the case study, right? You need to be quite familiar with the notes to the accounts and how are they financing? What is their debt structure, equity structure currently, right? Are they able to take on more debt? Are they in a position to do this, right? Are they in a position to a big project? How will they fund it? Okay. Another area, debt and equity financing. This is not only just simply debt equity, but other types of financing as well. You need to think about more creative type of financing. You need to think about as well, right? Now look at the risk cycle. We use the risk cycle, the remapping, the TARA model. Right? If you remember the TARA model?
Yes. The transfers, avoid, and
correct. So in a company like this, we may have the enterprise risks that we consider, but also we will have to consider the operating in different parts of the world. So you may need to think of the risks in that particular geographic location. Right? Let's say a company that's operating in Nigeria, a manufacturing company, and another manufacturing company they have in, let's say, in Bangladesh, right? Though that they have they have this kind of plant in two different countries, the risk profile of the two different countries is very different, right? Nigeria is far difficult to operate than in Bangladesh. Okay, so you would say that I'm manufacturing, but my risk profile needs to be evaluated. Now, why do you think that we will need to look at the total risk profile in places that we operate in? Do you think we'll have to do that?
So based on that, we would have to see returns for the fees, and we need to do risk reduction processes, stuff like that. We need to do risk. We based like RPC stuff.
Correct, spot on. Because we are investing in each country, right? So we need to look at, well, what is our return here, right? Though the investment is maybe much less than in Bangladesh, and then we have to see, well, what are our operational risks? There will be a lot of operational risks, right? People, I mean, we not be able to fly in and fly out people that easily because of the conditions that are there. It is a risky country, right? So people may not want to others who require to fly in, management or any other workers. If you're trying to attract skills from parts of the world, they not want to go here, right? Because it's not safe. And whereas in certain other countries, it's the safety is not that that of a problem. Okay.
Right.
Then corporate governance. Now, in your exam, in your pre-scene, you will see there is a lot. They have 1 to 2 pages on your directors and the senior managers, right? Now that you need to look at, evaluate. You need to understand these people quite well, okay? Because they will not ask you a direct question. Well, evaluate the board of this company. They will not ask you that, okay? What they will do is, given you this information for a very good reason. While you in corporate governance, the other key aspects you need to think and talk about what are the committees that you have. If you remember, we talk about there are minimum 4 committees that you need to have, right? Nomination committee, remuneration committee, risk committee, and there was one other committee. Do you remember?
Yeah,
Correct. Yes. Right. So 4 committees that you need to have. Okay. If it's given in your pre-scene, you see only one committee, and when you get your unseen, you let it and you say there is no such committees. There's very limited. There's only one. Then in your answer, you will talk about this as well, right? You might be asking you a question on. They will again not ask you a direct question on corporate governance or on the board of directors or about your committees, right? But you know that corporate governance is a key component in my syllabus, and they're very conscious of corporate governance. So hence, you can always bring in this topic to your questions that are there and into your answer. You can bring it quite nicely. We show this to you when we go into answering mock exams, right? How to bring this in. Then internal controls, internal audit, and frauds, right? Here, all these things now this is a very good area where you can talk about controls, audits, and frauds. Right? Manufacturing. Right? There has to be a lot of controls brought in. It's not like a service industry, right? There would be a lot of inventory. How do you control the inventory? Inventory will be at different stages, right? It will be raw material, work in progress, and completed goods. Okay, and then the evaluation of the inventory, right? The costing of the inventory, right? How much does it cost, right? And you can look at inventory in different parts of the world as well. How do they manage that? We talk about the internal audits and the fraud as well. And now we look into another pillar, which is business, right? Looking at things in a very business-oriented way. Okay, at external forces. What now? Your external forces, if you're operating in multiple different countries, their forces may differ because a lot of regulations in one country may change, may different to that of the others, right? And let's say even in UAE, we don't have taxes. Now in Bahrain, I think there's taxes in Bahrain, if I'm not mistaken.
Started, but they've not yet done.
Okay.
Very soon they would.
Right. That, imagine I'm operating in Bahrain. right? If I'm operating in Bahrain, and they said what is the kind of tax rates that they're bringing in?
Not really about that. I mean, it is going on in the setting.
Right. If they bring in, let's say, a 15 to 20% tax rate, yeah? If I'm a company operating in Bahrain, this means my cost is going up by 15-20% immediately, right? Because now I have to consider this going out of my profit, yeah? Now, then if I have the option, I will look around and say, well, you have option, let me come there, let me move my company there, right? To reduce the tax burdens, they will be doing a kind of, they will start moving, right? Consider these things as well. Then we talk about the pests, right? Political, economical, social, technological factors you need to consider, right? Five forces, the diamond model. So this is all related to our business, okay? And it's not that the examiner will ask you a question on what are the five forces, but it is rather the application of it, right? Shouldn't go on talking about, well, definition of a five force or talking too much about the five forces at all, right? You can just mention Mandela's, uh, the Porter's five forces and the aspects that we will be using, let's say, this particular thing with the power of supply. We have to review that. We have to look into that because this particular item is a key item for our product, and we need to consider our buyer. And we have only two suppliers, and so in that sense, the power of supply is very high. Right? We talk about the stakeholders. Right? So play a big role in your case study because always you will have many different types of stakeholders and how you will manage them. Okay. They're looking at the application of the tools, right? Theories into your case study. That's what it is. Right? You will have a lot of strategic options. Okay. That chain, I believe, will come in a big way because, again, not a question on value chain, but the opportunity for you to apply these skills, right, into your case. That's what is, right, the application. Because again, this is a manufacturing company, right? And the different strategies, okay, emergent, freewheeling, incremental, in the fashion industry. So also, it's kind of a very, very different thing because you need to invest in manufacturing, but also you're in the industry of fashion. Fashion, which is changing every time, and also for manufacturing, so you need to have kind of like a bipolar, right? In this, because manufacturing, you need to invest a lot of money. Right now, in this case, you would have seen that the case talks about the company having certain own manufacturing plants as well. They may decide to, future they may decide to do the manufacturing and then they move out of it, and they're on the design aspects. So you don't know. There might be different ways of doing things. Okay. Because our strategy, if I want to go into a very filling opportunism, right? That kind of, because I want to change every time, then we need to have our support structures in place that can be quite agile, right? We had Information technology again will play a huge role. TQM will play a huge role, right? Is this business is quite an interesting one where you can apply a lot of theories into your study, right? Design and manufacturing. Okay, question so far?
Not really, no.
Okay, people and leadership. Okay, people take in how them right? The different cultures because we are operating in different parts of the world, right? The structure that you will have, right? And influencing that may be a major role. Motivations, ethics, CSR. Now, people will play a predominant role in this. Why do you think people will play a predominant role?
I think because fashion industry, there the people are the ones who are designing, manufacturing, then very personal towards the customers, and how you need to manage the customers very well. Industry is based mostly on the people.
Yes, so people as in designers.
Designers, the management, probably the ones who are building up the whole strategy and everything. I think of manufacturing, everything is based on the people in a fashion industry.
Even manufacturing, correct?
Then because sometimes you can also use CAD and it's pretty automated to an extent, but everything is people based.
Right. What we're saying is that let's say in the manufacturing, right? So what's going on is that manufacturing, you are moving to low places, right, where the cost is pretty low. Yeah, that's where you're going, and you basically saying, well, I want to have my cost pretty low. Right? Let's talk about in Bangladesh, right? Just your cost base is very low does not mean that you can, you can avoid treating people, fairly, right? You have to take care of your employees, or if you outsource your manufacturing, you need to assure that your supplier is ethical. So one of the key things that you will need to consider, just because I can't just look at even if I outsource, I can't just look at a supplier and say, right, this supplier gives me the lowest possible cost. They need to go into much deeper into to understand how does he manufacture, does he treat his employees correctly, has no child labor. Looking for a manufacturer who will partner with me, right? Because that will form part of my corporate social responsibility as well. So what I'm telling my stakeholders, shareholders is, well, I'm into manufacturing. I'm focusing on my design and marketing and that aspects of it. However, as part of my CSR, I'm actually very much involved with my manufacturers and even promoting and a good work environment to my people who supply to me, right? Then the whole game changes. You become very ethical. You become, the CSR is in part of in everything that you do. Okay. You are marketing and you're promoting your products at a very different level, much more than price. So people who are purchasing your product know that it's not just I'm adding, I'm just buying a product. There's a lot of meaning to it. Okay? That aspect will bring in a lot of marks to your question. Then all this kind of words, all this kind of meaning behind it, because suddenly the trainer is seeing a student who thinks much wider than just the numbers. Number game anyone can do, right? Put into a computer, it will tell you whether it's positive or negative, whether go in with this particular product or not. But it is that thinking aspect that a computer cannot do as yet. Because it can't look at, evaluate all these things, all these aspects, and say this is what I'm going to be doing and what is expected. We talk about leadership. The type of leadership vary if I'm operating in Australia to that of if I'm operating in Bangladesh. And again, even in Bangladesh, my leadership style will differ if I'm working with low-skilled people to that of high-skilled professionals, right? So that you need to, again, bear in mind that different types of leadership roles that you will have to play, right? You play roles according to the situation, right? So, well, the work with the operators, the machine operators. The same way I can't work with senior managers, even if I'm the CEO. Right? The leadership will change. Now, when it's a senior managers, professionals, I have to have a more collaborative, very collaborative way of working, right? Because other will not work with you or stay with you.
Right.
And we talk about build, talk about collaboration. You will also have to look at collaborations not only within the company of that geographic location, but also across the world. How can they collaborate? What tools that are there that they can collaborate? Can teleconferencing, video conferencing, have video conferencing where each of them can see each other. Let's say you can do something like this. With technology today, right? See, we have technology. So what we can do is we can have in your store even, right? Like video wall, which can provide you live feeds, right, from the manufacturing plant. If I imagine you're coming to buy something from this particular company, right? You come in the store, suddenly you see, well, actually I'm looking at a scene in India or a scene in Bangladesh, right? Where you could see people are being trained to manufacture. Suddenly me as a consumer become of this. You're taking this experience of the consumer to a very different level. So suddenly I'm not this person who came to the shop for mere transaction. I'm just doing a transaction. I can see how I add value to another person who is in India, in Bangladesh. I can see them, their skills getting uplifted, right? So then I become part of this circle. You can see how things can change by incorporating technology into this whole business. You can change this whole scene, right? It can be a very, very different scenario which is there today in any of the stores. Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we look at managing change. Now, managing change, there will be a lot of changes happening, right? Manage change. Now, inherently, I have always mentioned this, inherently in the Middle East, we are not used to managing change properly. Change is, I want to move from the way I'm operating now to a different way of operating in the future. How do I change people? Right? And the people will resist, right? It is very normal for people to resist because they do not like change. As human beings, people do not like change, right? They want to see, well, how am I going to, what I do this? What is it? What is going to happen to me? Right? That's the first thing they will think about. So you, as a leader, need to assure, have mechanisms to assure that, well, you will not lose your job. You will get upskilled. You will have support. Right? So all these assurances need to be put in place for people to move and do things in a different way. You don't do that if it's just a command that you say you need to move from this to this. Well, it's become a big issue here, right? Because people will resist, people will leave, people feel insecure. Okay, so since you are dealing with people across the world, the things that you need to consider quite a bit, and how can we incorporate it? How can we bring in change in a positive sense? Okay, so you can see now I went through 4 areas for you in answering a question, and you see, well, there are so many things that you need to consider when writing your answer. Right? Things you just do not think of just the numbers. Okay, and when you're writing your answer, the structure I said is pretty important. Right? The structure, you need to have a bit of play. You 60 minutes for a particular question. Use 1/3, and use this very wisely. Don't launch into the answer immediately. Your answer, use 1/3 of your time to structure your answer. It's very, very important. Do some mock exams where I'm looking for not for an answer, but how you will structure. Right? Emphasize this so that people will get used to doing the structuring part. Right? I have taught, questions of strategic case study in the new syllabus, right? And this I emphasize so much, and the examiners emphasize it as well, right? Because as students have gone and done the exam, they come back. The feedback that I get from the students is that structure is the thing that really, really helped them, right? Because into structure, what we'll do is you will say technical, business, people, leadership. You will put in certain topics like that. In your exam, you can write it as well. Okay. On the side, you can, instead of putting it in your answer, you can just write it down like that you'll be doing, right? Have a paper, write down what right for the aspects, business, people, leadership, what models you will use, how you apply the models, right? So these things you quickly jot down, and again you will say, is there any real life examples that I can give in sentences? You will jot down them as well, and then you will launch into your answer. Right? If If you don't do this, if you just straight away launch into your answer, the examiner, remember, is looking for a very senior person to answer this, right? So he doesn't know whether you're 21 or you are 200. Have no clue, right? So you can be 25 or you can be 45, 50. They don't know. So they are looking at, and they don't care either, right? It's not, I'm giving a question to somebody, I'm expecting a very senior manager in the company to answer me. And it will be, let's say, if I ask you for a report, answer in a report format. If they ask you for an email response, you will answer it in the same email format. So, for example, you need to be really formal with an email. So you will, if depending on how the examiner has posed the question in the email, which you will get, if they say, dear so and so, I would like a response to this within the next 60 minutes. Please send it to me via an email. In that kind of, you need to pick up the tone they address you as well. So if they say, dear, it's a bit formal. We will respond in the same way. But if the person responds to you, sends you an email, hi, so and so, how are you? How was your holiday? You need to respond to it in the same way, saying, hi, Peter, my holiday was fantastic. Thank you. And hope you had a very good break as well. Okay, so you see how I'm connecting, and then you say, as fine below the recommendations to your questions asked. Right? You will launch into your answer. Okay. If students don't recognize this style of an email, again, the exam will fail you. Right? This means you don't have any people skills. Right? Because if I just launch into a straightforward report kind of thing, I will not give you full marks. Right? So you do in the whole paper, but if you're sort of a person who is just looking for a structured, very just give an answer and that's about it, the examiner can sense it through the way you've answered and will say, well, this person's people skills are 0. So technical skills would be 100. So your people skills are 0. You will not pass this exam. Right? Cautious of it. So things, but which will certainly you pass or fail the exam. Right? So a lot of people now. I have a few chartered accountants that I taught from India. Right? A lot of the chartered accountants, I did a revision case well with them. One of the biggest problems they had, that technically they're fantastic. Right? The biggest problems that they've got is this business and people. And these other 3 quadrants have a difficulty. Right? Because they're trained to think in way that is just the numbers. Right? Now, when we talk about business, again, we're looking at the fit with the goals of the firm, with the firm's business model and strategic position, responses of competitors, suppliers, government. Now, when you think of a project, right, it would be, say, for example, you remember, I'm not launching into this particular case study right now because we will evaluate it very well a bit later in our next classes. If you remember, in one of the previous sessions, there was a case study on the soccer club, right? And the soccer club, we spoke about, boots. Now, the skill set also may be there, to look at, does it fit with the business goals? If you buy a company that does electronic booths, that manufactures electronic booths, now, does it fit in with my core business? Part of our strategy, because you see, electric booths and things like that, these are very innovative things that need to change rapidly. There is investment that needs to go in. There needs to be research and development investment that needs to be thought of, right? And where business is soccer. This is where we focus. Now, if I have to move into another IT innovative area, well, even though we have the money, even though it is a big good business, well, with a strategy. So this is the kind of thing that you will need to debate, right? Where a question is posed on you. Okay? Is it financially feasible? Right? How did it impact my share price and profits? Right? There's certain things, even if a project or a question of a company, it may look very lucrative, profitable, right? How does it impact? How will it, can I take it on? Do I have enough funds? Or my equity funding is so much. I mean, it has really reached, it must be about 70-80%. That means I'm not able to get more debt into my structure, right? Will it fit with the impact on CSR? Okay, from business angle where I'm going, right? Technology and timing, impact on modern technology developments. How soon the impact will come in, right? Now, if I'm trying to do high innovative, high skilled, very high technically innovative things in an African country, because the skill of the people are not there, right? And so you need to consider, well, will it be able to, will the support people be able to come in and support us, right? Fly into these countries, will be able to do it, right? How would these activities impact on my job roles, teams, departments, divisions, right? Will it disrupt my current operation? So you can see, even though you will make these, a brilliant idea might be brought on board, okay, I need to kind of think about this great idea in so many different ways, right? Because, well, it may have a totally negative impact. You would see, certain companies, if they don't think of these aspects, and they only look at the product and they say, well, let's launch it. And once they launch something, they may also have to recall it because it has not been a success. You cannot thought about your business angle, right? Can you give me an example of that thing like that? In a where they have launched a product or service and then had to recall because it's not very successful.
A food producing company tries to go into a non, like if they go into economics or something like that. I can't think of an example, but
good example. Actually, this happened in India, so you can relate to it quite well. You may not know because what happened is Unilever's, Unilever's, right? The multi-giant. They looked at pure in India. 1 billion plus people, fantastic market. Anything that it will fly, right? Now, they looked at this the product Marmite. You know Marmite? Right. So, it is a very British product, right? If you go into a store there in Bahrain, and if there are, certain supermarkets, they store a lot of British food items, right? Go in there, you will see it. Okay? All Marmite, and it's made out of yeast. It's black in color, but you see, the Brits love it. Okay? In Australia, we have a variant of that called Vegemite. Okay, Australians love it. Okay, because the majority of the Australians are Brits. So this is part of that. So we are, we're used to it. Now, the Brits thought was this Marmite. Now, why won't we market this to India? They found, if I look at the numbers game, India is a great market, right? And market this. This is not a very expensive item. It's like jam, the cost of jam, right? So it's not all that expensive either. And we have our current way of promoting, right, and channels. We can distribute same way because we have FMCG products. Yeah. What happened was they went into India. This became one of the biggest disasters they ever did, right? Because they did not think about the business angle. They think about the people angle as well, right? More in a business, more social, the taste, right? So what they thought was, because the Indians, they hated this, right? This was the most disgusting thing ever, right? Because it's black in color as well, right? What people do is you take this, right? It's jam, but not a little bit thicker than jam. So you apply this on toast, right? You toast, you can have it on like a biscuit or whatever it is, but the taste is not sweet. It's more taste. Yeah.
Indians would have hated it.
Oh, they hated. They thought this was the worst thing ever. So first, they didn't like the smell, right? Yeast has a funny smell, right? So they thought this is really yucky smell, right? Top of it is black in color. On then this is applied on this toast and eating, right? So they thought this is the worst thing ever, right? And of course, even for free people were not right. Okay, what they thought, oh my God, we've really got it wrong. What is this? Why got it wrong? Well, they only looked at numbers. That was very good. Sort of, well, how about taste and smell? How social aspects? Okay. Also, then they thought, well, now what else can we incorporate this into? So they thought, let us incorporate this into the biryanis, right? Now that they had marginal success, because it little bit of a different kind of taste, but they thought this was okay. So you can see something that is very successful in one country may not be successful at all in another country. So you got to be very careful in how you things, because the people, the business means the people. To consider that. Now look at the people again. What are we talking about? What are the aspects we're talking about in people's skills? Is stakeholder interest, ethical issues, competitor behavior, right? And we look at staff and management. In this particular maybe country that I'm thinking about, right? You're operating in multiple different countries. You cannot operate. You cannot, apply the same rules everywhere. Now, if you talk about suppliers, right? And if I'm based in Europe, let's say, I'm used to my suppliers sending me electronically, sending me invoices electronically. I'm expecting my suppliers to upload in one of the portals I have. It is very, information technology is quite a mature stage in Europe, right? Now, if I'm thinking about suppliers from Nigeria, suppliers in Africa, suppliers in Bangladesh, can I do this? I can't, because their skill level is very different. Right? So if, let's say, I'm rolling out, if I have, let's say, suppliers, okay, and 8% of my suppliers are in Africa and Asia, 20% in Europe. So with this brilliant idea, well, we can save a lot of money, and we can, be the business process chain. We can automate everything, get suppliers, upload all the invoices. So from a business pure numbers game, it makes sense, right? But try to implement this without looking at it in a deeper way, right? In a deeper sense, I'm looking at who are my suppliers, what are the skill sets they have, where are they based. I need to think of all those things, right? If I look at all those things, then suddenly realize 80% of my suppliers are here. They might be writing a bill by hand and giving you. That's all that they operate at. So expect them to have high skilled, these innovative, high skilled IT. That's not there. Again, this is a project where I said if you're launching into a project, you need to see who is impacted by it. The impacted parties, are they able to, include this into their business process? Because it may not be. Right? There is a simple process. Okay? And then we also need to look at the governmental bodies, because they come up with different rules and regulations, right? How we abide by those rules and regulations. Ethics, okay? What sort of a corporate citizen are you? Okay? You being a big corporate citizen that you operate. You cannot just say, well, I have outsourced this to somebody, so then therefore my responsibility is only to my company and not to my suppliers, right? Not also the suppliers who provide me items. I can't say I wash my hands off this, because you need to consider, if you are behaving in an unethical manner, it will definitely impact you, your brand, your performance, because your stakeholders will definitely take you to task. Because you're based in Europe, you should know better. You perform in a very ethical sense. Now, have you seen the movie Blood Diamond? Right. For that, how the person who marks for these diamonds, what a life they have. Yeah, you saw that. So if I'm to bring that if I'm going to De Beers and buy a diamond, dealers need to be very, very careful that they will not purchase from supplant, right? Don't purchase from organizations that link to terrorism, right? Link to any other way of treating people, very bad, like slaves, right? You should not associate yourself, because you, as a company, you can't say I disassociate. I'm only looking at to get the best deal for my company. Uh, you cannot do that these days, right? And also, then the last one, we look at competitors' behavior. How would the competitors act, right? What would be their likely response? How their view? And at times, you may need to even collaborate with your competitors, right? In instances, that may happen as well. Okay. Right. Now, the aspects of leadership skills, we're looking at vision, inspiring, motivating, right? Big picture, right? As well, you need to zoom into details. Personal sensitivity, self-discipline, emotional resilience, right? Even though we think of a project as from a numbers perspective, it's very positive, you need to see how can I actually get my people to implement it. How would they react? That of the skill that I need to, I need to assure my people that their jobs are not at stake. They are safe. So this kind of and this will come through from communicating, right? So when writing, uh, if there's any change that's going to happen, you need to write and communicate. You need to have something called a communication strategy, right? You will need to, as a senior manager, you will say, we will have town hall meetings. That means bringing everybody together, like in a town hall, the senior manager addresses the people, and there's questions and answers there. Then you will have another e-channel where, people not ask questions directly, at a meeting like this. So we'll open a channel where they can ask questions. Right. Then we can also use social media, things like Yammer, where it is a similar thing to Twitter, right? You can restrict just for your corporate, right? And then talk about things that are happy or unhappy about. Okay, so it's another way of doing things, right? So what you want to do is to gather the people sentiment, right, and to change. So while you have thought about different communication strategies, you also need to understand what people are thinking about, and the best way to do it is to have an open a channel like Twitter, right, where people can talk about things, and they'll see, okay, people are concerned about these topics, and you then bring it up in your communication strategy and address it. You can see how I'm using information technology in change management, right? Nobody has asked you the question of media. Tell me how social media can change, incorporated into change management. They haven't asked you that question. The question is, are bringing in a change? How will this impact? How will you manage it? You draw in from your people skills, you draw from your leadership skills, you draw in from your business skills, bring the IT skills as well. Right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we also talk about a leadership team, how to bring in this team. Now, if you're operating, let's say your parent company is in Europe and you're operating in India, right? If I have 90% of my team members from Europe working in India and making changes and things like that, and they're leading these changes or leading this company, this will not be successful, right? Because all this will be considered as outsiders. Yeah. So we need to have Indian people as the key leadership team members, right? They are making the change. So the other workers will see it is my people who is making the changes. See, it's not an outsider. That aspect needs to be considered as well. Where you making big changes or you going into another country, right? You need to have the local presence. It should be 80% local presence. 80% of the people would be from that country, right? You will not have foreigners going to this country. You will immediately see resistance, people not accepting. Okay, where's the team building? We need to talk about how can we collaborate, right? How can we use social media? How can we use technology for collaboration? It is not possible for to fly all time from one country to another country to carry out to meetings or to meet to discuss something. However, they can do this by video conferencing. You can have video conferencing, you can have so many other ways that you can collaborate rather than physically being there. Okay? Questions that you can think of, instances that you can think of when leadership, where these things have not worked, where there has been some disasters because these, the company has not looked into this.
So then my company was place that I was working under.
So clear, Swati.
I think the place that I was working earlier,
Yes.
I was finding a lot of leadership issues. The management was not really focused on the piece of it. Like they weren't very the HR policies and everything.
Right.
If someone was to be thrown out, they used to be like immediately like contract was canceled and stuff like that. So that doesn't put a very good image of the leader, behaving like that and stuff. So plus the unions and everything were not really supported and stuff.
Right. Right. So yeah. Now you would see this. I mean, even in the same company, I've worked in many different companies, and you would see same company, but certain are different. And I can see this. Say I perform a role of between IT and finance, right? So you could see the business leaders. So business leaders incorporate us as part of their team, the IT team, right? We sit at the table. We have opportunity to talk. We have this. We have built a very good rapport. Yeah, and the rapport building comes with the other party actually giving us access, right? However, but this does not this does not mean that everybody in the company is like that. Certain leaders will, they by position they're leaders, but actually don't perform that leadership role. Yeah. Where they separate, like exactly like you say, they kind of treat the people differently, right? A big issue. Yeah, we have a lot of issues when we don't treat them as one team. Yeah, and that is because people don't trust you. So people then just do a job, right? No, I'm not thinking. I'm not being creative. I'm just doing a job. because I can't, and I just want to work from 9 to 5. I'm just as I do that, my manager will not say anything, so I'll just do that activity. I will not be creative. That will not give a very good culture. Right? Culture needs to come from top down. Yeah? This is where more leadership styles, the motivation, change leadership, Kotter and Shishinger, you again need to bring in certain theories very subtly into the report or to your emails. Just bringing it just to justify. That's what you're saying. So as Kotter mentioned, like Kotter is a father of change management, right? So in Kotter, whatever it is, you can just incorporate it as one sentence. You don't need to go into detail about change management or certain aspects of it or what Kotter did or anything. But just very briefly. So that's why I'm saying when you start doing your mock exams, you will see the more mock exams you do, the better it is. Yeah. And then we go into our right now. How familiar are you with these models?
Mandalas I know very well.
Right, because this is something that you will have to use continuously. Right. They have asked so many questions. They love this. Again, not a direction, but so many opportunities for you to use this Mandela's matrix. That's what it is. Okay. You need to clearly know very well each of the quadrants and how they perform.
Right.
Factors that. What I want you to do is go into YouTube, right? Paul himself talks about 5 forces, right? There are some lectures, like 3 lectures, but don't go into those ones. Go to the short ones, right? Where he talks, put in and search on, Porter's 5 forces can be used in this industry that we're in. Okay. So then there will be some things that will come up, right? And Porter himself talks about there are some criticisms as well. So 5 forces, just because it was used and embraced by a lot of people, does not mean that it was not criticized. It has been criticized, okay, a lot. So you can look at why. Right? Model is now Lewin's change model, as well as you have to look at Kotter as well. Right? Look at these two. Right? What to do is to summarize these things. Right? So as a homework, what you can do is send me some interesting that you see on Maslow's matrix, right? Into this industry that we're in, right? So that give you the opportunity to research, look at it. The reason I'm asking you to do is because then after this, you will remember. You don't have to go and revisit. If I do all these things, you need to revisit over and over again for it to get your head, right? Something you will remember. This is the last time you will need to do it. You will remember in write about it next month. Okay. So same for Porter. Okay. Lewin and Kotter, again, summarize this and send it to me. Okay. Interesting things that you have found in this. Of course, the different leadership styles we talk about, right? That you need to apply. Okay. Then the model that you, of course. This is about the corporate governance. Yeah. How you perform as a big company, the corporate governance expected of you. Okay, from a good corporate citizen. And the SAFS model, a key model. Are you familiar with it? You remember?
Yes, yes.
This it's not about the model alone, it's the application of it. Right? That needs to be that's the key thing here. One aspect is you knowing the one model, that is fundamental, but then how do you apply it? So we come up with different projects, different things where you will have to tell us, how you use this model. Okay? And soft matrix, again going into different products, different markets. This will be used heavily in our case study. Okay, I think you're familiar with this. Again, you will have to look at ANSOF as well as SAFS model together. Okay, when you're looking at a new market or product or new venture that you're going into. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Right. And then I think the last, ethics play a significant role, right? You need to know how to answer an ethics question. I will talk you through this ethics one, how to answer the ethics question. You need to see facts, right? What ethical is it? Have you considered the ethical issues involved, right? So you need to say, okay, you need to first call out, this is my issue. Issues related to it. Look at, is it legal? Right? Sometimes the reality of it is vague, right? So then look at which fundamental principles are affected. Right? And then you see, as per SEMA ethics, you have certain fundamental principles. You have to know it by heart, and you have to say what fundamental principles are affected. Who is the affected party? Right? In which are they affected? And you look at possible causes. What are the causes of action? Then you look into seek professional or legal advice. Then the last one is you refuse to remain associated with that conflict. You need to move away from that conflict. How do you move away, right? There was a very good scenario in one of our previous exams. This person who is the CEO and the chairman of the company, the venture person, right, wants to meet with the football agent of that particular football player. Right? They are planning on buying this football player, but now they're looking at, he wants to go and meet. Right? He wants to fly him over. He wants to do a lot of elaborative things. Is it legal or is it not illegal? There's nothing. Legality is not there. But when it comes to ethical, there are ethical issues linked, right? Because this is not, it is like I'm bribing a supplier. That's do. Okay, because I was trying to negotiate to this at a very, very low cost, right? And he was trying to do all kinds of things to get his agent to agree to it. Right? So, as an advisor, how will you advise this? You need to go through all these things. This is where the structuring comes into play, right? So if if it's an ethical question, you need to structure first put in the structure, then just slot in is your answers, and just transpose this thing into your actual answer. Because then the examiner sees your thought process, right? And it's exactly as what SEMA has you to do. Okay, that's clear.
Yes.
Saying, oh, this guy should, this Mr. XYZ should not be doing this thing. It is even, even if we say it's not legal, but it doesn't look good with the other parties and not do this activity. If you say that in this manner, you fail the exam again, right? Because it is looking for a real thought process, logical thought process, justification. Okay, is that clear now?
Yes.
If you remember COSO, risk management, so we need to go through into your risk management quite a bit, yeah? And we will go later. And again, this is SEMA's risk management cycle, right? When we go to analyze our case study, we'll do that. And how will our risk response be? This is the TARA model, of course, and what type of what can we provide, right? And we about in our case study different type of risks and how will you address all of these. Okay. Spoke about in the business itself there is risk, how to manage that. Okay, we have gone through it in P3, one of the first things. Kind of just to summarize, 1 second. Yeah. We highlight view the pre-scene. Okay. And work for you would be look at. Have you gone through the pre-scene?
But I did not read the whole thing.
Okay, that's fine. So, high key topics given to each of that topic. So, if we talk, if the examiner has given a lot of space to say a particular, the board that utilized out of 8 pages, 2 pages I'm talking about the management and board, that means for sure you're going to get a question there, right? That's how you need to kind of think, okay, and we have 5 variants. So I can't tell you you're going to get this one for sure. Because 5 days, right? Any types of questions. Okay? Much more than that actually, yeah. So questions, 5 days, right? 15. You can't say, I can't pinpoint. But what I can say is, depending on the space given, any of those 5 days, you might get one of these. So we can predict questions. Right? This is, high possibility. What models can you use? Right? That is important. What is trends? What are the issues? Now, if you look at, go into SEMA and you look at what are the past trends, what type of questions they've asked, right? The past exams. So you can see thing on these kind of topics, right? And that are there in pre-scene. The key for each of them, right? Do a lot of mock exams. Research on the industry and real life companies in this industry. The key points, advantages, disadvantages you need to think about. So, when you while doing this, what happens if you get immersed, you know, in industry and this case study for a few weeks, right? In these 8 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks, you kind of get immersed in this, right? So that you should not be looking even at your pre-scene when you're at the exam because you know it so well. Okay?
Okay.
It for today. Have you got any questions? Okay? What we will do is we have tomorrow. Okay?